Alright, let's just address the elephant in the room. I have not posted a lore video in a long time, and there are reasons for that. To be honest, I've been thinking about this for a long time. I once said that I wanted to try to move on and become like a varied channel when it comes to my Final Fantasy content. I even wanted to try to move on from Final Fantasy content, but you know, I always come back to lore whenever I want to do something that I really like doing. But at this point, I can't really run from the truth of what's going on in the community, and it's not really something so bad. This is kind of like an evolution of what people are interested in when it comes to Final Fantasy XIV content. In the past, we always had guides, people making fun videos. We had Larry Zer making videos occasionally. You had, well, Zeppla is still making videos right now, and now we have like other content creators that are from the World of Warcraft scene that are making content right now. But where are the other content creators that are usually making fun stuff? I mean, we still have Mr. Happy, but you know, that's always a given. Primarily, where are the Final Fantasy content creators that are making lore? Now, there are some that are still here. There are some that are coming out of the woodworks, like at Orzia Archive, I believe that's what they're called, or at Orzian Archive. I'm sorry if I mispronounced the channel name, but specifically, I've been noticing something that comes into the space of Final Fantasy XIV and its community, and that is that a lot of people really like the more, how should I say it, the more memey, jokey, kind of silly videos that a lot of people can laugh at, rather than the kind of informative stuff. I mean, if it's informative, it usually comes out to being a guide or a way of doing something, and sometimes when that guide comes out, it's silly, very memey, something that you can go ahead and meme on Twitter and make a joke about it, and that's, yeah, I can respect that, but that's what I'm seeing a lot more of in the Final Fantasy XIV YouTube community when it comes right down to it. And then there's Ethis, our forefront godfather when it comes to Final Fantasy XIV lore. I haven't heard much from him, but from what I can figure, he's going through the same problems I am, and well, I'm just gonna have to explain it right here. 14 is a game where you experience the story and lore for yourself. There isn't a lot of people who are willing to hear the story right here on a recap or anything like that, or maybe they want to hear a piece of lore that's out there, but there's not a lot of lore that you can talk about that a lot of people don't even know. In fact, there's a lot of people who can give information to the person who is reading out and giving the lore, and it's kind of funny like that. I could talk about stories all day, but when there's people out there who are looking for the lore, yeah, they will find it, and they will search for it on YouTube, but it's a very small amount, and it's not very many people who are very willing to listen to somebody spout all day about story this, bones that, Edda this, frozen soldier who was sitting in a castle all day because he was cursed and basically couldn't leave the jewel that was embedded inside a statue that was supposed to be representative of his wife who died because of very dark reasons. You know, everybody knows that story, everybody knows that lore, so it's almost pointless to put it out on YouTube sometimes. Let me just say that my biggest inspiration is Vati Vidya. I love his channel to death, I watch all of his videos, and it's him that got me into From Software's games even more because the story behind the story behind the story in those games is very deep, and he's like the perfect person to dive into them with his elegant voice. Me, on the other hand, I don't have an elegant voice, I don't have a funny voice, I have a very graspy, very young sound. Like, you probably don't know my age by me talking right now. You have no idea how old I am, but I don't have the kind of voice that is very memey, very funny, very jokative. I have a dry piece of humor. Whenever I am funny, it's because I'm very emotional and I get very angry, and I don't really like being like that. I wish I had the chops like a lot of those very entertaining, very funny people. And you know, with World of Warcraft content creators coming into the 14 space, it really shines a light just how underbaked I really am when it comes to being a content creator. I may be very good at editing, and I may be alright when it comes to writing out a very informative piece of craft. Like, remember, again, I have done a lot of lore stuff. I've done Orzia Historia. I've done the WoW videos, which a lot of people have taken to. But when it comes to something that's very entertaining, the only entertainment I can give is informing you of something. I mean, I can make a video how I hate the tower thing that we got when it came to this fire festival or whatever you want to call it. Look, I was distracted by this damn tower. There are pegs in that thing when you try to jump, and it's like, why is that peg there? And then when you get to the top of the damn tower, there's another peg. And my character is very tall. He can't just under jump the thing. He has to go sideways and really screw up the contact of that peg and himself and push himself forward to get to the other peg. And getting up to that tower, I'm only going to ever do once in my life. I'm never climbing that tower ever again. That might have been very entertaining for you, but I got very emotional. You see what I'm saying? I've been making content for years, and I finally made it to 10,000 subs after I did that WoW video, which seems to be the reason why I keep going. I want to be very informative. I want to be the kind of person to give reasons for people to think and explore certain things, like looking into the story of things. That was like the main point of my channel. And we got people like Zepla. She is like the mom of the content creators when it comes to Final Fantasy. She's very humble. She's very calm. She's also very warm when she talks. I give her a lot of credit because she is on the sane side of the community. Like I said before, she's like the mom of the Final Fantasy XIV community, and she is a great need when it comes to this kind of stuff. She is a great listen as well because she does a lot of topics and news, and she puts her 2 cents into it. I know a lot of people knows Desperus, who puts a lot of videos when it comes to guides or being able to do stuff in dungeons or showcasing weapons, and he's really kind of the anchor of the 14 community right now, since a lot of the content creators are doing something else. He puts out regular videos, and you know, I kind of appreciate him. There are a plethora of humorous video makers, people who do streams and clip them and put them on YouTube. You have a whole bunch of them here, and you know what? I can appreciate them all for their craft, and some of them are very entertaining. But what you don't see a lot of are lore-based channels. Not that they're gone, just you don't see a lot of them. You don't see channels like mine, you don't see channels like Ethis all too much anymore, but you do see some people talking about the underlying story and the lore, and they try to make things interesting. I have a series called Eorzea Historia. Some of you know about it, a lot of you probably don't know what that is, but it's basically me archiving and talking about the past, or the very beginning that has already been documented within the Eorzean Encyclopedia, and just basically putting it out there on YouTube. And I've already gone past the Age of Power, I think. I gotta really go back and look at it. But it's one of my most proud videos, and it sees no audience whatsoever, which proves to me that I think the community is not geared towards wanting to know the story, but are geared towards maybe social aspects of the game in the community, the haha moments, the memeable moments, and I'm okay with that. It just means that the craft of lore is very niche within the 14 community. Trust me, there's a lot of stories that I have in a book that I've been wanting to tell you guys in a video for a long time, but every time I put something out there, when I take an idea from the book and put it into a video, nobody wants to watch it. And like I said before, it makes sense. This is a story-based MMO. There isn't a lot of action that's distracting the people from actually seeing the story. Like when I talked about that one guy that was trapped in an island in one of my WoW videos, the audience was like, yo, I've never even heard of that story before. Why does he know more about the lore in World of Warcraft than I do? And I've been playing this thing for like 10 years, which goes to show where World of Warcraft was trying to direct all their players to turn them into combat-heavy, raid-filled people, you know? And when it comes down to 14, the story is something sacred. You don't talk about it, you don't spoil it for people, you have people experience it. You don't want them to be spoiled in the story, which is the reason why I have to say this. I think I'm going to move more of my content towards what I want to talk about in the community rather than a lot of the story-based stuff. Like, I'm going to finish Eorzea Historia, I'm going to try to get my Encyclopedia Volume 2, and I'm going to talk about lore stuff when I can. But for the most part, I'm going to at least try to spread my content so that I can talk about a varied amount of things and maybe push more towards looking into the community of MMOs and games like that that I'm interested in. I'll still stick with Final Fantasy XIV for the most part, but I think it's time to really think about where I want to go with this. I love the lore and the stories in Final Fantasy XIV. I love Final Fantasy. I love MMOs, but I can't stick to the same thing all the time. I want to spread out just a little bit more. I wondered why my video on World of Warcraft did so well, and a lot of people really needed to hear, I guess, what a new player's experience coming from a person who comes from the opposite game was like, and you know what? I can appreciate all those people who tuned in. Like, in the future, there is a Riot MMO that I want to talk about, and Riot has a vast universe, which I know already has content creators for, but I can't wait for that thing to come out in 2024 or something. And then there's another game called Hytale, which also will be coming out maybe when I turn 60, but you know, I want to talk about that game as well. And hey, I do streams. I stream almost every day. You can find me here on YouTube if you want to. I play a lot of Final Fantasy, and of course, if you want to catch me, you can just pop in, join in, say something in chat. I'm in Crystal. You can find me in Crystal. We can play, we can level up, we could do dungeons together, we could do raids. I like starting conversations. That's what I do on stream. Also, Splatoon 3 is coming out around the corner. I like Splatoon. I mean, yeah, but that's just my opinion, and if you think I'm blowing this out of proportion, please let me know in the comments below. If there are other content creators that are doing lore and are doing fine and have a lot of views, if I've missed them, please let me know. Link it down below, talk about it down below. I really am thinking that there is something to it when it comes to this community that a lot of people enjoy. The more exciting, the more drama-filled, the more memey stuff. That's how I feel about it. But if I'm missing creators out there that are doing a lot of lore, let me know. Please let me know. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time or on stream. Like I said, come and visit me. I love starting conversations, like I said before. Anyway, have a good one. Bye.